Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the October 7th, 2025 meeting of the Chatham Select Board. Please note this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, please notify the chair. Seeing none. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 28, 2025 signing of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, until June 30th, 2027. This meeting of the Chatham Select Board is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 203-386-491#, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, Xfinity Channel 1072, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. First item of business is to establish a quorum. Ms. Davis.
Present.
Mr. Dykens.
Present.
Mr. Metters.
Present.
Mr. Smith.
Present.
Chair is present. First item of business is public announcements and agenda item requests. Any from the board? I think, Mr. Smith, you had something.
Yes, thank you, Dean. I just wanted to pass, and I spoke with Randy Potash, and she asked that I just make a brief announcement that she's saddened to leave the Assembly of Delegates, but she's got some commitments, increasing commitments at Cape Mediation, where I guess she spends a lot of time, and that if anybody in the public is interested in applying for the position, she's happy to answer any questions that any of us might have.
Thank you. We appreciate that. She has done a superb job as a delegate, and we appreciate her service. Any other from the board? Any from the public? The chair has an announcement. I wanted to make clear what the reasoning and purpose for calling this special meeting of the Select Board is. We were not scheduled to have a meeting this evening. This has to do with the CFEL project. The town staff and CFEL project team have come to a decisional point regarding how best to proceed with the design work that is an essential component of the bid documents. The design concept had priced the project out at $5 million, but a formal estimate came in at $2.6 million higher. The project team have been working on design revisions to support an estimate closer to the earlier conceptual projection. I was apprised of an overage on September 12th when staff asked for my okay to pause the expected move of COA activities to the community center on October 6th, which I gave. All Select Board members were informed, and arrangements were put in place to notify the COA board, which met the following Monday, and to schedule a meeting with the town's consultants for myself and Vice Chair Dykens, who agreed to participate. That hybrid meeting took place on September 23rd. The consultants discussed the design and pricing issues, and additional information was being provided to the estimators, with a final estimate expected shortly thereafter. However, on October 1st, a second hybrid meeting was called, and we were informed that final estimates would not become available until later this month. Town staff and the project team presented a recommendation on how to proceed, and I felt it appropriate, as did my colleague Mr. Dykens and the town manager, to bring this matter to the full board for public discussion and determination. Given the call of this special Select Board meeting, I have added 2 additional items that I believe merit timely consideration. With that said, the next item of business is public comments on the business agenda. We will entertain contemporaneous public comment on all 3 items, but if anyone is not planning to be here then, I will give them an opportunity to speak now. Seeing none. Let's proceed to the first item of the business agenda, which is the Center for Active Living Renovation Project. An update and a vote is anticipated. I will turn now to the town manager to give us some background and refer it to the appropriate speaker at the podium. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your comments. Tonight, it's respectfully requested that the board concur with the project team's recommendation to proceed with option 1, to keep the project moving forward in a manner consistent with the primary design objectives of the project proposed in the conceptual plan by pursuing the bid-in-hand approach. We have a staff report in your packet along with the most recent renderings that were prepared by the town's designer and architect, Kurt Raber of Catalyst, who's here this evening, as well as tonight invited our owner's project manager, Rick Pomeroy of Pomeroy Associates, who I will now turn it over. Other team members include Terry Whalen, who you know is a Projects and Operations Administrator, and Leah Lacrosse, who's our Director of Community Services. And again, thank you for outlining the timeline for us.
If I could just interject, I forgot to mention, my intention is to let the consultants and staff make their presentation, then turn to the board for comments and questions. Then we will open it up to public comment and questions. Proceed. Thank you.
Good evening. Richard Pomeroy, Pomeroy Associates. We're acting as the owner's project manager on behalf of the town of Chatham. And the design process began in earnest in June, July of this year. And the first steps for the project were to do a deep dive in the existing conditions of the facility and take that information and develop it into the documents for design. And there weren't many surprises, but the structure was namely an area that we found a number of areas that may need more than originally anticipated, from my understanding. And took that information and the design documents progressed. In late July, the documents were at a position where they could be estimated from a schematic design level. And there are 3 different levels of design. There are 4 different levels of design. Early concept or feasibility, which is what you utilized to support the town meeting vote last year. Schematic design, which is when you take the information from, say, an existing facility, you start working it towards your project program, and you start developing the design to a point where you can meet operationally and make sure that it works for staff. Design development is when you, at the end of schematic design, you typically will do a test estimate to see if you're tracking where you anticipated tracking from your feasibility. After schematic design is design development, which is enriching the documents, creating more detail, still refinement, making changes to you get to your ultimate final design. At the end of design development, you do another test estimate. And everything megs out, you move into the construction document phase. In the construction document phase is when all of the full detail is incorporated into the documents, and there's a lot of detail that's necessary for the contractors to properly bid the project. If you bid the project any sooner than that, your chances are of higher than normal cost proposals because there's not enough information to provide a refined bid. Change orders, the state statute requires that a professional set of construction documents be created. So the estimate that we have in hand at this point was at the completion, sort of halfway between schematic design and design development. When that came back, it was much higher than was originally anticipated from the concept of feasibility perspective. The team immediately went back and looked at what had changed, if anything, from the original concepts to the drawings, to the documents that we had at that level. We also looked at any modifications that may have been made to the project beyond what was originally anticipated for the betterment of the operations. We also looked at materials. We looked at the structure. We started refining the mechanical and electrical systems to understand where those numbers were, where they may be high, where they may be low. We worked through that process. We received the estimate the end of August. And we went through that process for the majority of September, looking through different options as to where we may detect where the estimate may have overemphasized a component or underemphasized a component, and what could change. Through all of those efforts, you know, the estimators are saying, look, we need more information and more time. We're anticipating having the second estimate back 2 weeks ago now, and a week ago, and the estimators just indicated they just needed more time. They needed more detail from the engineers. So where we're at right now is Catalyst has provided more detail to the estimator, and they're continually, as the documents are progressing, they are providing more estimates to the estimators, and we're anticipating having that back at the end of this month. Where we're at right now is we can look at it and say, okay, just stop. Just stop until we figure out where this next estimate comes in, so that we can get a barometer as to really where this budget is as compared to what was approved. And that's certainly a logical step to make. But what we've been finding in the industry lately is that the best and most accurate estimate is a bid in hand. And we've had so many fluctuations in escalation over the last 7 years. We've seen some years that we had escalation double digits, almost 15%. We've seen other years where they were just under 10%. We're riding right around now with escalation factors 4 to 5%, things are settling down. But the estimators are still remain conservative because they don't know, with the looming tariffs, they never really know where they're going to, where the numbers are going to fall. They could estimate a project today, and you know, something spooks the system and materials or suppliers, and the numbers go through the roof the next day. And we've all seen what's been happening down in Washington, D.C. So we've bid a number of projects very successfully in the last couple of months, and both projects have been considerably below estimate, because what we're seeing is that the estimators are being very conservative because they're trying to protect their client. And we have contractors who are very hungry right now, and they want to get a job for the winter or for the next year. So Lakeville is a very good example of that. We just received our bids in on that a couple of weeks ago, and we're considerably below estimate, almost 15 to 20%. So the estimators don't have a magic ball. They look at what the industry trends are, they look at recent bids, and then they make their best judgments. So that's why I say, that's why when we were talking at our last meeting, that really the best evaluator of cost right now is getting the contractors to bid it. And what they're willing to build the building for is really what the number is, whether it be high or low. That's what the number is. So in our last meeting, we talked about stopping and continuing to estimate, or moving forward in getting the drawings out on the street and get them to bid. Also, during this process, it was a very, very difficult recommendation for us to make, and very difficult for the Council on Aging, but we didn't feel it was advisable to move. You can't move until you know you have a project. So it was a very difficult conversation, and I know that it was hard. But until we know we have a project going forward, moving to a temporary location just didn't seem to make any sense. We feel very confident that we can assemble the resources to make a move efficient and quick once we know that we have a project that's going forward. So what we had presented, rather long-winded, I apologize, was those two options for the consideration of the Select Board this evening. And Kurt Raber is here from Catalyst Architects. I'd like to let him walk you through where we are right now with the documents, give you a good view of the product that's in hand, and then we can discuss the options, if that's okay. Yeah, maybe at the end we can talk, we can show those too.
Okay, great. All right, so now this is hello again, my name's Kurt Raber, partner and architect at Catalyst Architecture and Interiors in Yarmouthport. Happy to be back here tonight to kind of show you the current, an excerpt from the current set of drawings. As of today, we have, including all of our civil engineering, structural engineering, mechanical, fire protection, electrical drawings, we've assembled 96 drawing sheets. But this is only 9 of the architectural pieces, and I wanted to these kind of show you where we are relative to the concept design that was presented, almost a year ago. So this is the cover page of our drawing sets to date, and it shows the blue section in the front is the entrance addition, which was part of the concept plan. And in there is actually now one office, the entrance vestibule, a coat room, and a table and chair storage room adjacent to the function room, which I'll show you in the plan view. Also included in this set of drawings still is the dormer over the right side of the building. And on the first floor, if you're familiar with the building, that's the CFAL admin offices, and they'll remain there. But we did present a dormer previously, and that is still in the project. Similarly, this dormer on the right side of the left wing of the building does not exist today, and is an important part of the project, because what it does is it really adds about 25% more space to the room upstairs, which is called the media room. And also in the schematic design was an addition to the first floor room. So this kind of lean-to saltbox shape over here on the left side was part of the original concept design and is still part of the plan. I'll go quickly through these architectural plans, but I think we'll then, I'll go a little further and get to the furniture plans, which I think show the context of how the building will be used a little bit better. Again, this is the basement. And over here from my arrow left into this new stair, and this basement space becomes a new storage space, and that's underneath the addition to the function room or the dining room above. This is a crawl space or an unexcavated basement space underneath the new entrance addition. And I wanted to point out that when we were here with the concept design, it was envisioned that the senior day program would be fit up in this east end or right end of the building. Come to find out through the schematic design process that the occupancy level and the number of people that are going to be served in the program, that it really wouldn't quite fit here. We also, a new program director has been hired to administrate this program. So there's an office here that actually has a conference space for consulting with family of the clients of the senior day program. So we moved the senior day program, and now it will inhabit sort of this lower lobby, the office space, and what was the exercise room. So we've transplanted these two spaces. As a result of the senior day program going in here, we've advocated for leaving this structural column in place. That was a core part of the schematic design, or the concept design, was to remove the obstructions of columns in the building, mostly on the basement level, but also one very important one on the main level. So we're proposing to leave this one because the structural work to make that column go away is dramatic and pricey. So that's one of the VE, value engineering moves that we've proposed to get this project back on budget. At the other end of the building, the exercise room will now be down on this end, and we propose to take out 3 columns. Because our structural engineers have been through the building top to bottom, we found out that moving this column became very problematic, and we would have to thread a huge piece of steel into the building from this point all the way back to by this door. By just leaving that column and just putting a new beam in, and that takes out 2 columns, this becomes a fully functional exercise room with 1 pier in it. So that's the major changes there. Main level, as I mentioned before, the design had evolved and included extensive work in the kitchen, which was not part of the concept design, so we've pulled that back out. We had a major overhaul in the office wing, where we were moving every wall to get 4 exactly the same size offices. What that did was it took out bearing walls, and it required us to reframe the first floor and the second floor. So we've simplified the design to use the existing structure in the building and not disrupt it. As I mentioned, there's a little lobby addition out here in front of the building, and that has 4 parts, which is the outreach counselor's office. And after meeting with staff, they wanted to have an office where someone could meet with clients directly from the lobby, but also, after the doors closed, be able to interact with staff. So this was the perfect little knuckle to have a 2-door office. A vestibule, coat room, which we don't have in the building today, and a table and chair storage room. Because currently, when this room changes over from one function to another, staff has to fold up tables, roll them down the hall to the elevator, take them downstairs for storage. Same with some chairs. So it's an in-depth, a really tedious task again and again and again each week. We are removing a significant column in the building here with a new piece of steel through the building. And then there's a second beam being added here to support the current existing second floor wall, because this, where my arrow is actually a bearing wall now. So we're taking that end wall of the building out to make this room bigger so that we can have full occupancy for luncheons and meals and other functions. On the second floor, we've really distilled it down to the dormer on the east end, a modest renovation of the library area, a new dormer in the activity media room, and then the addition extends to this second floor because it includes the new enclosed fire stair, and it also will be home to the Shine office. So dedicated space for that volunteer consulting work that's so important. If I quickly go over the elevations, again, this is a set of working drawings. So where you see texture on the wall, we're adding new wall surface, whether it's shingles or hardy plank. We've designed a resilient, durable, easy to take care of exterior finish for every surface that we're touching. Of course, if we have some contingency money at the end of this job, there's other surfaces that are shown blank and white that we don't plan to touch in the base bid. Again, just to control the cost of that base contract. If we could, we might add some additional siding and trim work to the building, but that's a what if. Around the back of the building, much of the existing rear of the building is going to remain as is. This is the addition with office space and the new enclosed egress stairwell on the left end or west end of the building. And again, this is the west elevation. And today, there's a 2-story deck there with some sort of wobbly railings and a little ramp that comes down. We are replacing the ramp because this is vitally important to the Meals on Wheels program. There's hand trucks with materials going in, carts and hand trucks going with coolers going out to volunteer drivers, cars who will be in the driveway, and they'll be loaded to and from this ramp. This is the basement plan. You can see that these tables here in the senior day program are enough seating for 15, there'd be 12 to 15 participants or clients in the center and 4 to 5 staff. This is the layout of the fitness room with some existing exercise equipment at this end of the building, and then enough room for chair yoga, mat yoga, and other things. So this lobby becomes the receiving area for the senior day program, the director's office, and a conference table. Upstairs in the main function room, we've got dining seating for 48 people shown here. And there could be a lectern at one end or the other. We've got a solid wall at this end of the building, which could have a monitor for video presentations. And then in the office space, we're using the 2 existing offices, creating 2 new offices with non-bearing walls. And then in the middle of the building, we're fitting up the entrance lobby with a new reception desk. And over on this side, there's kind of a waiting area and congregating area with the coffee bar is being moved from this hallway, which is often congested and people bumping into one another. And if there's a wheelchair or someone with a walker and a group coming in and out, it becomes very, very tight in here. So we decided to take that congestion point and that attraction of the coffee bar and put it back here in the lobby where people can use it and congregate together. Up on the second floor shows the media room with the movie seating, but this can be configured in a number of ways. We've got the library space, card table space, a new room over here, which can be a card room, a craft room, or a separate meeting room. And that's shown with a table for 6 there, but it could be easily 10. Or it could be 3 small 4 squares for a bridge tournament or a cribbage tournament. And then over in the east wing, we're making the dormer will be adding about 8 feet in length to the conference room with a window. And we've doubled this space as the staff lunch and staff break space. So we're adding a countertop with an under-counter refrigerator, microwave, and coffee pot here. So that's instead of creating another new space in the building and losing program space, where this conference space is going to have multiple functions. The Friends office also gets about 6 feet wider with a full height ceiling and plenty of room for file storage and a window, which they don't have. So a lot like the concept design, some of the things that we started to add through the schematic design process, we've stripped back out. Those were nice additions, they were nice to have, but we've reverted back to the core elements that were approved by the board back in January. I can go into more detail with these drawings when you have questions.
Thank you, Kurt. I have a couple of questions, and then I'm going to turn to my colleagues. So with respect to the columns, how many are going to remain? And you mentioned 2. One is on the basement floor. Is that just in the
Yeah,
basement?
In this room, the exercise room, we were going to take 3. We're now going to take 2 out.
Okay.
And there's be a piece of steel from this existing column over to the wall, allowing this remaining space to kind of be open in an L shape.
So the column that remains is where the arrow is right now?
Yeah, that black.
Does that go through all 3 floors?
It doesn't. It does go up and support a structural beam that supports the wall through the center of the office space.
The first floor?
Yeah, and then that wall supports the second floor
Okay.
and the roof.
Okay. And there was another column on the first floor? In the exercise room? I'm sorry, in the function room, main function room?
Yes, I'll just point out before I change floor plans that this column exists today, and we're proposing to leave it because moving it is troublesome structurally, and because the program here is not an exercise room anymore, it's the senior day program, which allows for, it's going to be set up with those 3 or 4 tables for 8 people,
Okay.
4 days a week. So
And that column only is visible?
that
on
only
this-
goes from the basement slab to the ceiling there.
Okay.
The column that is coming out, the most dramatic one, is the one that's in the center of the current dining room. That will be going away.
Okay.
And along with removing the whole rear wall of the dining room, we get to stretch that room 8 feet.
So no columns will remain in the
No columns in
the
that
dining
room at all.
And is that it for the columns that was?
Yeah, there's one other column here, oops, I went too far, in the lobby. And that also supports a major structural beam that holds up the second floor. And that goes right up into the attic where there's another beam that holds the attic floor. So taking that out proved to be very troublesome. And so what we've done is we've integrated it, instead of it being a column in the middle of the floor, we've put a half wall there, and behind it is the coffee service counter.
Okay.
And that kind of divides the room into two halves, the welcome side and the waiting side.
Okay. Next, on the subject of the siding, those areas of the exterior that you are touching, mainly the front center
Yes.
part, you're suggesting that still could be cement board or hardy board rather than,
Yes, and
Rather than
just this
cedar shingles.
afternoon, we're drafting up our application to the Historic District, because this building is in the district, so we'll be going there. We'll be filing, I think, by Wednesday of next week. And we'll attach literature on hardy plank or CertainTeed. It'll be one of those two. Great durable products. I put hardy plank on my house 15 years ago, factory finished, still looks brand new. We do it almost all the time now.
much more durable than cedar shingles, obviously.
Yeah, right, because the finish kind of stays looking new for at least 15 years, and shingles in Chatham will look old in 3 years.
The last question is, we didn't touch on this, but I know in our conversation at one of our Zoom sessions, the subject of the parking area came up. And I think, Rick, you talked about it, but maybe Kurt, you'd like to talk about it. We currently have 36 parking spaces there.
Right.
And the design concept, the concept was to bump that up to 48, and that required some reworking of the parking arrangements on our property and with the condo association.
Right, and, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that is, the cost of that is somewhat significant, and it's depending on what the estimators come in at.
Right.
There's a possibility that we could wind up with a cost in the range of, I'm just hypothetically throwing it out, of $5 million plus for the building, but the parking arrangements, if we wanted to bump the parking up, would be an additional piece of change that we might have to go back to
Right.
town meeting for.
Our intention is to draw the parking lot improvements in two pieces. One is sort of the base bid, the work that has to get done to facilitate the additions, including the handicap ramp and some modification of the front driveway with a new sidewalk in front of it so people can get to the door. And our civil engineer is working diligently on that. His plan is a bit of a draft right now, so I didn't want to show it incomplete. We're proposing that the parking area on the right side of the building, the east end, which is now currently blacktop, and it kind of has a, S-curve that ends up in the neighbor's property. And actually, some of the neighbors' deeded parking spaces are on the town parcel. We proposed a design that kind of makes a simple rectangle-shaped parking lot on that side, and it disconnects the drive-through to the neighbor. We had to improve a couple of spaces on their property, but then all their parking will be on their property. And the town's property will, parking will be kind of separate. And the fact that the parking lot will be rectangular and all the spaces will be the same size and orthogonal to one another, it'll be easier to drive in and park in and, come and go from, we believe. It does have a heavy price tag. We're proposing that the work on the right side of the building, we're going to surround that with a bubble and get a second price on that as an ad alternate, just so that we know what it is. And my estimator is pricing that separately. There's also been some discussion amongst the working group of whether that site work package could actually be bid separately away from the general construction contract and avoid 20% markup that the general contractor would put on that work. But the work that will happen in the base bid over on that area, which is now just kind of the free-for-all parking in the grass, we are proposing a new leaching bed there because there is new septic flow and new occupancy in this building. And we only have a couple of old drain pits, leach pits there. So we are proposing to build a new leaching for the septic over there under that grass. In that base bid, we'll cover it with 12 inches of gravel, which will be good to park on for some time. In the alternate price, we'll pave the entire project, add some street lamps, and a couple of landscape islands with trees But we're hoping that that area, if we have to, we could reserve that off to the side. And hopefully in a couple weeks, when we get the estimate back, we'll know where that stands as the base project, including the site work in front of the building and on the left side, which is a critical delivery and drop-off area for the senior day program. That'll be in the base contract. The improvements on the right side of the building would be that alternate price.
Thank you. Well, I think it's important that we do whatever we can to bring the parking up to the 48 spaces, because if we're going to invest $5 million or whatever in the building and just have 36 spaces, that's not great.
Right.
On the left side, what is the arrangement regarding the ability of a bus or the vans to
We
turn
are doing a
around?
little expansion of the paved area on the left side, and down at the bottom, sort of at the bottom of the hill, we're going to create a little turnout to the right that goes behind the new addition, and that's a space that's big enough. It'll be probably crosshatch painted with a sign that says shuttle van parking only. Right behind it, across on the backside of the parking lot, will be an area, again, no parking, for that van to back up so that it can do a K-turn and leave without backing up the hill. But we are increasing the parking on that side of the building, I believe, from 9 spaces to 13.
Okay, and just finally, just to establish this point, the estimators are not part of your firm. They're an independent firm, right?
I retained them, but they are an independent cost estimator we've used multiple times recently with good success.
Okay.
And I think Rick's working with them on another project as well.
All right, thank you. Turning to colleagues on the board with questions or comments? Jeff?
Thank you, Dean, and thank you, gentlemen. For me, I think I totally agree with you that the best way to understand what this renovation is going to cost is to get it to bid as soon as possible. So conceptually and philosophically, I think I'm in agreement with that route. Otherwise, we're relying on estimators that I think you have some faith in, but I'm a little awestruck that they came back $2.6 million north of what we had originally planned for. So let's see what the plans that they're estimating are exactly what you just showed us, right?
Yes, this is from that same set.
Okay.
And we had, the set that we had kind of released at the schematic level had a lot more embellishments on it, different finishes, taking out more walls, taking out more columns. And there was a set of structural drawings that went with that I think that the estimator said, wow, you're really tearing into this building. So we've simplified that. And just by picking through that estimate and attacking the big numbers in that estimate, we were able to identify the things that we believe cost a lot, and we were able to simplify those things. So we're confident that we've moved the number at least, and out of the overall project, by my calculations, I'm trying to get the construction budget down from 4.6 to 3.2, so $1.4 million. Before I gave the drawings to the estimator, I went through it and I checked off the things in his estimate that I thought I had altered enough. And in some cases, I struck lines out of the estimate, and other times I said, well, this is 25% of the work or 50%. So by my own calculations, I know that we're close to $1 million saved out of the 1.4. We'll see what the estimate comes back at the end of the month. And hopefully with the refined mechanical drawings, which have also been simplified, and the refined structural drawings, we'll see that construction number fall in the range of 1.4 to 1.5 million. And that'll put us on budget.
Wasn't totally surprised by the numbers coming back north of what we planned. To be honest with you, I think the markets have been very much in an uproar. Supply chains have been in an uproar. Tariffs are unpredictable. What's happening in Washington day to day is unpredictable. So I'm sure estimators are being very conservative. Again, the best numbers we're going to get is when you have your construction documents finished and they go out to bid, and we got a response from those. Quick question on the columns. Programmatically, are the columns that remain okay from a programmatic standpoint, both, I think we need, one of the reasons why I think we got comfortable with this plan initially was we were getting rid of the columns that had sight lines and the inability to move stuff around and get enough tables, et cetera, in the areas we wanted to get them for dining and activities. So I would like to hear that, in fact, you're comfortable with this or not, as the case may be. Thanks.
Excuse me, good evening, Leah Lacrosse, Director of Community Services. The columns that they are keeping in, that we've decided to keep in, do not have an impact. The biggest impact, the column with the biggest impact is the one in the dining room, and that is coming out. That was a huge impediment for programming and for allowing people to to be able to place another table, having it be right smack in the middle of the room. So that's huge. The one in the day program, we have, I've met with the director of the day program. We've looked at the seating charts, and there is still plenty of room for our maximum amount of participants and maximum amount of staff that we would have. In the exercise room, same thing, the one column that remains doesn't impede anything. So with all the changes, I'm good with it. We've looked around, we've done a lot of work.
Okay, that's good to hear. I mean, again, we emphasize the removal of the columns when we approve this plan. So I think it's important to hear that it's going to work, what we're left with here. I think it really highlights just how difficult it is to renovate an older structure, especially a structure that was never originally planned to be, a council on aging or for active living. It was an office building, and we've done a great job. I think you guys and everybody's done a great job living with it and working with it, and hopefully we can pull this off at a reasonable cost at some point going forward. At some point, Dean and folks, I'd like to review, if we choose the option one, for example, what the timetables are. I think folks want to hear that and should know what the timeframes are and what the scheduling might look like and what we're doing with the programming during construction when it occurs.
Sure. Do you want to talk about the timeline, and I'll talk about programming?
And I don't know if there's any nuances between both options, but if there's one that's salient and important, I think folks ought to know.
So what we have in front of us right now is option one, and that's kind of where we stand today. And the goal is to work on a parallel track while the estimate is being refined, but continue the construction document phase that I described earlier, and get the project complete from a design perspective. And out on the street, we have a target date to accomplish that of November 14th. Meeting that date, we would anticipate a contract award. Remember, we have Thanksgiving and New Year's and Christmas in between. We anticipate a contract award target of the 7th of January. And we'll put together an aggressive set of specifications with regards to the contractor and starting. In other words, if you submit a bid and we award to you, we expect you to start within a certain period of time. But we'd like to see a construction start by the 15th of January. We're looking at about 8 months of construction. That puts us mid-September for an occupancy target. We will know, we didn't add any bullets in here. Say, as an example, if the bid comes in over budget, we would have to plan for a special town meeting to make some decisions on how to award if the project were to go forward. So what we would need to needle into this schedule would be, my recommendation would be anticipate it comes in over budget and get a special town meeting scheduled. You can always cancel it. But if you wait until you get the bids and then try to schedule it, you're losing time. Needle in a special town meeting just after the bids are in, and assuming that if it is over budget and the town supports it going forward, we immediately start mustering up the forces. We get everything lined up from a move perspective. We know what we need to do. We'll have everything lined up, and we'll get that squared away. You know, the contractor may not be able to start that quickly, depending upon timing. We, you know, when we put this together, it was, we're just trying to look at what is a realistic from a bidding perspective. Having looked at it this morning again, you know, we probably should have thought about where the town meeting and the move fit into this, but without the town meeting and the move fit in, we're looking at a September occupancy.
Just wanted to say something about a special town meeting. It's going to depend, it's one thing to program it in, but whether we actually have it, it's going to depend on the feeling of this board based on the magnitude of the overage. You know, if we're talking $1.5–2 million more, I think there might be some inclination upon some members of this board, myself included, it's a no-go and wouldn't go to town meeting. But if it's something more reasonable, then, you know, I think there might be some justification. I just really wanted to clarify that so there wouldn't be some sense that there's an automatic calling of a town meeting. But I understand you might want to put it in the calendar. Jeff, I'm sorry.
I'm good. Thanks. I may have others, but I'm good after others speak.
Okay.
Thanks.
Shireen.
Thanks, Dean. My questions are for the relocation timeline. You know, that it's an 8-month period of construction that brings it into the summer, Leah. I know that you've written in some of the suggestions that might happen. Could you just speak to the public about that?
Sure. So Amy and I, Amy Howell, Deputy Director, Community Services for Recreation and Beaches, she and I and our teams have been meeting since February. And February, it's been monthly. We have completely planned every aspect that you can think of, and we've had our staff helping us along the way for things we haven't thought of, we may not have thought of. We started out by saying, you know, what Amy's programs are that are absolutely no compromise. Same thing with us, our day program, for instance, that's a no compromise program. We started building and integrating from there. There were some programs that we had to parse out to different community partners, and we have been very lucky, very fortunate that some partners have taken some of our programs when we need them to, as well as other town locations for smaller things. So the summertime, I know it's not ideal. It is absolutely not ideal, not for me, especially not for Amy and all the summer programs that go on there. However, you know, Amy and I feel very fortunate. Amy has said to me over and over again, if we have the time to plan it, we can handle anything. It's if we find out in May that we have to move in June, that's a whole different story. But if we start planning it now, just like we started planning this move before there was even a town meeting, just in case, with this much time to plan, we are both confident that we can make it work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else from the board? Corey?
I mean, I'm not going to say a whole lot at the moment, but it's just, I mean, I think we can all feel some of the tension, some of the frustration. I mean, this is not the conversation we wanted to be having. You know, this has been a very, very long road, this project, a lot of history. And, you know, we came in, we had a $5 million number, brought it to town meeting, we pulled it out of free cash. A little disappointed that the 2.6 million wasn't referenced in our packet, but it's a number that the board was each told individually. So, you know, I guess my concern is when you start whittling away at that, what do you get? And is this the facility that the individuals who have been asking for this for so long, is this the right facility? That's part of this conversation tonight. You know, and to Rick's, you know, previous comment, you know, we can move forward on this, but expect it to go up higher, or the bid to be up higher. I don't think it's going to drop because there's so many unknowns. So it's this is not going to be an easy conversation. I'm very interested in see what the you know, certain people in the audience who have been, you know, part of this since day one. I'd really appreciate your input on this, because this is going to be a tough decision. And I thank you guys for your efforts and everything, but this is not where we want it to be, for sure. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the board? Stuart?
I'm the newer person, so my questions you may have already asked or answered some time ago, but just to, I guess I'm disappointed that the 2.6 million wasn't mentioned in the memo. I'm not sure why. Are we unsure of that number? Why wasn't that?
I'm going to take responsibility for that. I met with the town manager. I saw a draft memo, and I said, don't put the price in there because it is an evolving number. They have been involved in value engineering downward from the original initial estimates. That's why I didn't want to alarm the public and say it's a, you know, fixed, carved-in-stone figure. That was my rationale for it.
Okay.
And so I'll take responsibility for it. I don't think I was in error, but I understand yours and Mr. Metter's comments about it, and I appreciate them.
Sure, and the $5 million appropriation, we appropriated $5 million, and help me out, the earlier estimate was 4.8 or 6, did I hear?
It was pretty close to the
Because
five.
it-
It was almost.
Because I thought there was 200,000 in contingency. Am I mistaken about that?
That was within the five, within the
Yeah.
estimate. Terry can speak to.
I know it was within the 5, but does that bring the cost estimate down to 4.6 or 4.8?
I'm going to pull this slide up. So there were two components, and I'm going to pull up actually the slide that we had at town meeting. So there, with the soft costs, were estimated around $1 million, and the construction was $4 million, to keep the math easy. So that in the soft costs, you have the design fees, OPM fees, outfitting the building, the temporary relocation, and other fees with moving. And did I mention the different relocation fees for also, we have to add temporary power, trailers, those types of things. And the construction component is basically around, we had the estimate, again, Kurt, I think I'm going to pull this slide up here. I don't know why it's not. So I don't know why that's not displaying.
Terry, do you want to read the groupings as Chatham TV is coming out?
Okay, yeah, so again, but the basic, the main components of the budget included the construction hard costs of up to $4 million and the soft costs were $1 million. So that's, the construction cost estimate at the time for just the building improvements was $3.9 million.
Which one do you want? Because you got two open.
Okay, this one, the one that just had the.
Get rid
yeah.
of this. Do you want to save your changes?
Why don't you save the changes, because I think that is,
Okay, it doesn't like you. It's not happy having two PowerPoints open at the same time.
and you close the other one? There it is.
So, it's almost difficult where to begin. This is a pretty large increase for you know, I know it's renovating an old building. What was this building originally? Is it
I believe it was developed as office space.
office space?
And apartments.
Oh,
And apartments? Yeah. And condos, yeah. It's been a melee of things. So so we've had, am I getting this straight, that it's been about 2.6 million of building improvements that we're not going to do? Separate from the parking, I guess,
Yeah, there's certainly things that were in our schematic set of drawings that were, I would say, improvements that were over and above the concept design. Really nice to have, but more importantly,
what were some of those?
on the second floor, there's a stair that goes to the attic. And one of the things that staff said is we can't see through the building. Everything is, a little worn and there's no visibility and openness. So we said, well, we could have a pull-down stair to the attic and take that stair out. That would make the stairwell open to the first floor with a railing. So some of those things that we added that were nice to have, we've taken out. Similarly, when the structural engineer told us that we would be rebuilding most of the first floor to take out those columns, and we said, well, we don't have the budget for that, so we have to simplify. So we changed the office design so that we have 2 existing offices and 2 new offices. The addition previously was about 9.5 feet. We've pulled it back to 8, but we can maintain the occupancy for the dining room. So we've done lots of things to kind of simplify the drawings and get back to only the core elements that were presented in the study. And what's interesting is, in this slide, it kind of examines the numbers. But in our cost estimate, we were putting a project out there, we hope to cost 2.7 raw construction costs, 2.7 million. Came in at a little over 3.6. But when you add on the modifiers of the contractor's overhead, profit, insurance, escalation, and then there was a design contingency in there of 10%. So all those markups swell when the project's bigger. So we've identified that we've got this 3.9 number has to get back down to 4 million. Sorry, it's got to get back down to closer to 3.2 million to be on budget.
Yeah. How old's the building?
The building was built in the mid-'80s. Yeah, it's not.
I mean, at what point do you drive a bulldozer through this building and you start over? I mean, is there I mean, it was never designed for this use. We seem to be cutting it back to the things that, I think maybe are more than nice to have. They seem to be functional to the use of the building. Anyone's had a building or a house that has columns in it,
Right.
That's something you like to avoid.
We really can't equate this project easily to a per square foot cost because there's 2 dormers and 2 small additions. But then there's a lot of, there's over 8,000 square feet of existing space. So just looking at replacing the existing 8,000 square feet at somewhere between $500 and $600 a square foot, replacement would probably cost twice of the renovation project.
And do you expect that, compared to a new building, as opposed to renovating this, do you expect to have the same type of longevity for the use of this building? Because it seems to me that a newer building would last longer. You'd use better materials throughout as opposed to, somewhat superficially.
Certainly, we are doing finish updates, paint and flooring throughout the building. That's still part of the project. The other things that the town has done recently is about a year and a half ago, all the HVAC equipment was replaced with heat pump technology. So we're reusing that. We're not pulling that out, discarding it, and buying
Right.
it again. So there's a lot of improvements that have been done, and we believe that these renovations would set this building up for another 30 years of, it's 30-plus years old now, and it'd be, serve the town well for another 30.
Is there a whole building generator for this building?
There is a generator.
Yeah,
It currently picks up everything. But it's not really been tested under the load of full air conditioning. My engineers are running some calculations to find out if we can leave all the heat pumps and air conditioning on the transfer switch, or whether, because the building is getting bigger. The initial response is yes, because we're pulling out a lot of incandescent lighting and doing LED, so we're actually reducing the lighting load significantly as part of this renovation. So existing generator is going to remain. We're not going to touch it, but we may have to disconnect some things from it. I hope that answers your question.
yeah, and the kitchen, I heard you speaking before. What aren't we doing in the kitchen that we were doing?
Well, originally we thought, okay, there's a column in there, which we can't move. But there's older flooring, there's older cabinets, older dishwasher and sink. There's an old gas range. There's a commercial hood in there that seems to always be on. So we were gonna put some controls in that so that it's not on all the time, exhausting good well-conditioned air. We'd like to pull back from that room in our base scope and maybe add on as an alternate the refinishing of the cabinets and the floors in that room. And then the staff would like to replace the gas range with an electric one, which we do have enough capacity in the building's existing service to do that. But that's really a furniture item, not so much a general construction item, so we'll probably do that outside the general construction cost.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that some of these things that we're taking out of the project, we're probably going to be doing, shortly thereafter, and if we have money, or we reappropriate money next year, or
Yeah,
or appropriate.
we've tried to take out the things that are sort of FF&E.
Yeah,
But there are all the code required, signage in the building and fire
Yeah.
extinguishers and alarm systems, sprinkler system, the full coverage will be done throughout. So all those code improvements will get done. Things like switching out the stove, the range from gas to electric is something that we feel like we can defer or should defer.
sure. Okay, we chatted about the new building and the kitchen work. I guess some of these other things could wait until I guess we're gonna have a follow-up questions after the public, because, I haven't experienced, well, I've been at town meeting, obviously, but I haven't experienced it on the board, but, I just hate to, rebuild a government building and either reduce its longevity or usefulness when it's somewhat constrained just in its design. It's kind of hindering. I support the project, but I'm wondering whether this is any longer the right direction. But I'll have a few more afterwards. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you. I just want to ask a question. The usable space in the building is equivalent to what was proposed for 1610 Main Street? We are increasing the space in this building. Maybe that's a question for Rick? Terry?
If you can speak to the reduction and the latest DD set. But they were very close. And again, but Kurt did reference a change in the footprint to, I think, is it a foot and a half? So again, they were comparable space-wise, and as Kurt, I think, showed in the plans, you know, the effectiveness of the area is improved in the building. So they were both, you know, slightly north of 10,000.
Yes, that's what I
10,000
recall.
square feet. So, and I think,
right.
but that does not include Kurt's reduction, so, but I don't know what that reduction is.
With a couple of nip tucks, we've pulled out about 300 gross square feet, not out of the footprint, but out of all three levels.
Okay.
And that's mostly in the addition space, which we calculate somewhere around 600 a foot. So, you know, it's not that big a savings, but everything we could do to take any little bit of extra out of the building. And, you know, one of the things that I didn't mention, in our schematic design, we have the low-pitch roof over the front entrance, which is new. We were proposing that in a standing seam metal, but we were able to change the roof pitch by the modified footprint dimensions to get back to a 3 and 12 roof pitch, which we can warranty with asphalt shingles, which was another $40,000 item we pulled out of the project in the last month. That would be nice to have. It would look, you know, slick and modern and new. We don't have to have it, so we've simplified.
Okay, I just,
I'm
Go ahead,
sorry.
Stuart.
As a follow-up, just on the, there's no showers here. Did I already ask that? There's
No shower locker rooms in the existing building or the proposed design.
Right. I mean, the reason I asked that, I seem to recall, not being intimately involved with it, but that in previous designs at other locations, there were showers and there were a generator that ran the whole building, and because there was some talk about being able to use it for a shelter, and we don't seem to be doing that here.
That's correct. 1610 was designed as a shelter.
Right, right. And besides those types of amenities like the generator and the, you know, the showers and what have you, is there anything integral to the design of the building between other locations that you worked on and here that would prevent it from being a shelter? Like, is it structurally not permitted for that type of use because it's not new, or?
We have to look at we have to add a shower in.
Yeah.
We need storage space.
Right, we don't have storage space for the storage of, like, you know, emergency cots and things
Right.
like that, but that might be able to be stored in another building and brought here with some preparation. But the shelter does have, you know, at least a men's and women's room with showers. That we probably could find a way to get at least 2 of the bathrooms to add a stand-up shower in them if we really want to convert this. It is high and dry, it's not in a flood zone, so it's got that. It does have a generator, so it can have power sort of around the clock. But if maybe it's not a shelter, it certainly can be a warming station.
We already have one of those.
Yeah, you know, place to go and charge your phone.
It's all right. I just remember that being in an earlier design. I was thinking, you know, I don't think that that's a nice to have. We still are delinquent in that area here in town, in that we don't have one. We use a regional that sometimes works sheltering program. Okay, thank you.
I just want to add a historical note that if you wanted to put a new building here, I think it would cost upwards of $10 million today. It would have cost about $6 million when I suggested on multiple occasions 7 or 8 years ago, that's the way we should have gone. And I said it then, but the question now is, how much money are you willing to put into this building to make it serviceable? Because it's clear from town meeting that they don't want a brand-new building, and they don't want to spend $10 million for one. That's what I took away from the last several meetings. But anyway, having said all of that, I'm going to now turn to the public comment. And I would remind everyone that under our public participation policy, 3 minutes per person. And I would ask if you could to try to focus on what's before us tonight, which is the recommendation from the project team and the staff to continue with the design work and get it ready for bids, or to pause it and wait for the estimating to come in, which of course would delay things even further. I think that's the summation. So, Ms. Burke, who's the chair of the Council on Aging, I'll go with you first, and I'll recognize people as they raise their hands, and as well as online. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you very much for having me. I have a statement, I will be quick. I would just like to preface it with something that I had not added, is my disappointment that we won't be getting what we thought we were going to get, which wasn't what we wanted, but it was going to be a good addition. Anyways, please allow me a little leeway. Good evening. Thank you for having me at this meeting. I would like to thank specifically Select Board Chair Nicastro, who convened the meeting, and for informing me of what was happening with the CFAL renovation. I was able to individually speak to each board member to apprise them of the happenings. As you are all aware, 48% of the Chatham year-round population is over the age of 60. The CFAL is and has become a place for seniors to enjoy as well as receive needed services. Immediately post-COVID, I asked Select Board Chair Peter Kokolas and Select Board Member Gina Castro to visit the COA. At the time, I gave them a tour and made it clear to them that if this path, no staff, building in disrepair, continued, the COA would cease to exist. Members of the COA Board of Directors and the Friends Board of Directors began a project to revamp the computer room. With the help of the interim COA director, we were able to utilize an updated meeting room which continues to be used. This was the first step in the beginning of updates made by the current Director of Community Services. The initial idea to bring the respite program to Chatham was brought forth by a former COA board member who had researched and found a grant. My point in telling you this is the COA Board of Directors, as well as the Friends Board of Directors, are actively engaged in making Chatham a better place for the senior community. The current project was approved in May. It is a standing item on the COA Board's agenda. Last week was the first time I heard from Mr. Nicastro the cost problems that the project was encountering. And as we all heard, that happened sometime in August. In a town where transparency is the goal, I can tell you, I have searched the town of Chatham and the CFAL website with extreme difficulty in trying to find the plans and updates. I was finally able to find them late today and saw that the last time the update was made was the update that we received on December 18th, 2024, and it was updated in January. As a taxpayer, I find the pattern of asking for the sum of money at a town meeting and then returning and saying that this isn't enough disturbing, a practice that has happened to the last few projects in Chatham. As a result, I think the time has come for true transparency. The COA Board of Directors, the Friends Board of Directors, the Select Board need routine updates bi-weekly or at least monthly. The updated project needs to be immediately uploaded to the town website and the CFAL website with easy access for everyone. Thank you very much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Pat. Ann Ryan?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Ann Ryan, and I am a member of the COA Board of Directors. I am really sad, really disappointed, and really discouraged, and I hate feeling this way. I want to be hopeful instead, and I'm having a really hard time grabbing at something that's going to make me feel a lot better about this. As some of you may know, I was an opponent of the 1610 project, but when this came along, when Selectman Nicastro suggested this, I was on board immediately. I thought, finally, we have a solution a hybrid solution, maybe not the best one we could have done, but it's something that's doable. It's something where we can get this passed at town meeting, and we did. When I heard about this, I was blown away. And so the first thing I did was I wanted to look back and see, like, at the select board meetings, the finance committee meetings, everything leading up to annual town meeting. Where was it said that $5 million might not cover this project? And I can't find it anywhere. I feel as if this was sold to the voters as something that had the appropriate contingencies included. This was prepared by experts. They know what they're doing. And I felt 100% confident voting for this because I thought everybody had done their homework and everything had been disclosed. And it seems that may not be the case, but that's behind us now. So now we're going to wait for the estimates to come in, and I'm really worried about that. And I understand if they come in high that we may not be able to go ahead with this project. But one thing that hasn't been mentioned tonight is there's still a problem with that building. And when we looked at the various concepts for fixing it up, there was, I think it was something like 1.4 million or something like that, just to take care of what they called deferred maintenance, the broken elevator and other health and safety issues in the building. So if we don't go ahead with a plan to renovate this building, what's going to happen? Are we just going to stay there in the existing building with all of the problems? Are we going to try to raise, 11 million, 15 million to build something somewhere else? I don't know. So from that standpoint, it seems to me that this is still the best course, but there are so many unknowns, mostly the money and then the timing. It's just hard to imagine. So, I would really like to see this succeed. I'd like to do everything I can to help that. But right now, it's a lot darker than I thought it was going to be. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Anyone else? Nancy Fields.
I'm Nancy Fields. I'm on the COA board as well. Two things. First of all, I wanted to go back to Kurt's kind of slipping in there that there's also a column being left in the kitchen. I noticed that on the plans, and I was going to raise that question, but it came up before I had a chance to talk. So I guess going to Pat's point about transparency and Ann's point about transparency, I mean, I heard you say many times during this meeting that there were, 3 columns being left, and the kitchen one in the kitchen wasn't mentioned. So can we know exactly where all the columns are that are being left? Are there any others in there that we haven't been told about?
I think it's 2. Is that, Kurt, do you want to answer that question, please? I think it's 2, Nancy.
Well, it's really 3.
So perhaps I shouldn't have mentioned the column. We never, the concept design didn't take the kitchen column out of the plan back in January. Sorry, back in December of last year, January, when we were presenting the design for the concept study, we never contemplated removing the column in the kitchen. During schematic design, we said, can we get rid of that? And we quickly came to find out that it would be very difficult because it supports a major beam on the second floor. And so all those engineering things just kind of cascaded and snowballed. The ones in the basement are the worst because they support the first floor, which supports the second, and then the roof. So there is one column that's going to remain in the senior day program room in the lower level. There's one that'll remain in the exercise room. 2 others in the exercise room will be removed. The biggest problem column is the one in the dining room that is going away. So there's 2 that are sort of in the plan in the lobby, but we're integrating that into a new wall, so that won't be floating in the middle of the plan by itself. And then the one in the kitchen, as I mentioned, never promised to take that out in the concept. In the schematic, we considered it, but it became too problematic.
Thank you. The other thing I looked at in quite a bit of detail was the schedule milestones for option 1. And I went back to the schematic that was in the annual town meeting materials. And in this schematic, which is what the town, approved or based their approval on, it says 43 weeks for construction. And I know I can't, 43 weeks is about 10 months. And we keep saying 8 months. So I don't know what happened to the 2 months between here and here, but I guess I'm skeptical that, given everything else we've seen, that I think this schedule, we're fooling ourselves if we think it can really be achieved. Like everything else, the numbers keep changing. And that I echo Ann's comments about, this is all really disappointing, not only the money, but the time, I think is really problematic. Thanks.
Thank you, Nancy. Yes, and here in front, please.
I'm Laura Everett.
Laura.
I'm on the COA board, I'm the clerk. So yes, I'm disappointed, but what brought us here was the fact that we know the town does not have the desire to build a new property. We keep going around the same kind of circle, which is madness. The building needs to be fixed. I trust my colleague, Leah, and she's worked very hard in trying to figure out how can we refinish the building, get what we need, and that's exactly what got voted on at the town meeting. They voted on us getting what we need. I think we should go out to bid because, I don't know, when I was building my house, the architect said I could have all this for like $800,000 and it came back 1.5. And then I found a really good, builder who worked with me, and then it was right in the middle of COVID. And he said, well, Laura, you know what? If you want to buy your own kitchen stuff, I'll cut out the 20%. I feel like we should be able to find people who can work with us to get this building fixed, to get the needs we met, and just be like a regular person, like, okay, we need this place fixed. We need it. This is our bare minimum. Help us get there. I really feel like that's my experience with my home, and I love my little house. That went from 2,500 feet, 3,000 feet to 1,500, and I have everything I need. So I think we need to try to do this, and I'm voting to go out to bid, and let's get this done and figure out how to get it done. Because you know what? No one's going to let us build a new building. It's not going to happen. Since 1990, they have voted no for this. So it's time to just take some action and fix the building and get what we need.
Thank you, Laura. I'm going to go, I think, Brian, did you have your hand up? Judy Patterson.
Hi, everybody. I'm Judy Patterson in West Chatham, and I agree with everything all of you have said. I think the lack of transparency here regarding what the town manager has not shared with you, and all of you have failed to hold her accountable. There should have been regular reports on what was going on here, and these poor people should have known this. Instead of packing the bags or whatever they had to pack but it's a horrible lack of transparency, and each and every one of you are responsible for not holding these poor people to a timeline that we had all agreed on as taxpayers, and the town manager needs to accept this too. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm Robin Zebrat, and I am president of the Friends of the COA. Transparency, y'all blew it. I've sent emails to Mr. Whalen, I've talked to several people, and it was such a hush-hush discussion with everyone that I'm very irritated as a townsperson and as a member of this board. We work very hard to maintain a very happy environment for our elders, and right now they are in discombobulation, and it's unfair for the people who work there and the people who go there. One thing I don't think has been covered is how much additional square footage we're getting with the changes of what we have now versus what we're getting. Because it seems to me that a jump from $5 million to $7 million with not any more square footage is a very large number. However, as what everyone has said here, we need this. My father and my husband designed the very first building that we are sitting in for a condo back in the 80s. I've been here the whole time. We have been waiting and waiting and waiting. We have been shuffled from building to school to all kinds of places to help our COA have a place. We have been through numerous votes, numerous drawings, presentations, and we finally have come to agree at least that we can have this building renovated, and now the price has gone so much farther than it ever should have in the short amount of time since we started this. And we voted on it in May. The other thing that I want to mention is that I stood up here in one of our previous meetings and said, it's never going to happen in the timeline you gave it. I stood up here and said, it's not going to happen. And I was assured, oh, yes, it's going to happen. We're going to be in our building. We're all going to be moved, and we're not disrupting anybody else in the community. And that is not happening. I think that option 1 is an irresponsible choice. I think you need to go to option 2 and give yourself a little more time to do it correctly the first time.
Thank you. Kurt, did you want to just comment on the additional space that we pick up? And I know you indicated earlier that your revisions are reducing it by about 300 plus square feet.
I'm looking at some notes on the plan on my computer that are not on the set that we have there. So the existing building has a footprint of just under 2,800 square feet. So there's roughly 2,800 square feet per floor. And on the first and second floor, we're adding just about 950 square feet on each of those floor levels. And on the third level, we're adding about, I think it's, I'll go there right now. We're adding 450 square feet. So the total of the building is, I think, about 8,400 square feet existing, and we're adding over 2,500 square feet. So we're going from about 8,400 to well over 10,000.
Okay.
I did mention before, we've nip-tucked at the building, and that's only about 350 gross square feet of new construction space. We're not demolishing any of the existing building.
All right, thank you. Elaine Gibbs.
Thank you, Elaine Gibbs. I couldn't prepare any notes because we had no information. It was virtually impossible to do that. There was only the staff memo, and when you get the plans, you can't see them. When we blow them up, everything's a blur. Transparency. The only reason why we're here tonight, in my view, is because of the public. Because the only reason why you were advised of it is because of the public. Because for the last 3 or 4 weeks, the public has been hearing rumors, wondering why they hadn't broken ground in September, which was like last month. And writing emails. I wrote a number of emails 3 weeks ago, and to the various people, copying the town manager, and asking for specifics and didn't get them. People would say, I have no more. I will copy Terry. I had to call Terry. I had to write Terry. So I think that's what prompted this. And that's the only reason why they finally had to tell us what was going on. The fact of the matter is, in January, the price was $4.6 million. Cora, you found an error, so it went down to 4.4 because they had double charged. As we got closer to town meeting, it went up to 4.9. But we were assured, it's not your imagination, we were assured that there was plenty of contingencies in there. 5 million would be enough. And we were to break ground in September. Well, to break ground in September, the RFPs would have to go out immediately. We all know that. And then we find out in August, they're not going out. They haven't gone out. So they never did believe, in my view, that September, that this current schedule was going to work, because there's too much you have to do in between. We had to get an OPM, and then we had to do the RFPs. And then you send them out, and it's 12 weeks before you can possibly choose them and break ground. So that September was not, and everybody was working towards that date because they were told it. So it's a question of transparency, and this can't happen again. There has been mismanagement on this project from the beginning. We never knew who the project team was until tonight. And, you know, it's like it's this ephemeral group of people. I thought there were 20 people on it the way we were talking. And I guess I would like to know, the OPM went out to bid, and it closed on March 31st, which means the OPM was chosen within a week or so. So from April until August, what was going on? And the minute you found out, certainly in August, about, not you, the project team, the 2.6 million, they should have told you, and we should have had a special meeting here so that you could give them guidance, because we've lost another 3 months. And I think it's infuriating, and guess who's going to eat this? The taxpayers. You know, somebody's got to be held accountable so this doesn't happen again. It's not right. I had to change all my notes because everything, all the different facts coming through here. But I also think option 1, based on prior performance, that's not going to happen. The bids aren't even going out for the RFP until November 4th. You know, the odds that this will get done by next fall, I doubt it, unless somebody gets their act together and speeds this process up. And I don't know why you have to keep going and getting bids. If we wait until October and then we get more, what are we going to do? Have another meeting in the spring? You know, just keep working and provide updates to us. It was very slipshod. That's the best I can come up with. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Phillips.
All right, Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. I guess my first question, is the basement still being redone, or all the columns being taken out, and is that going to be usable space? I guess that's my first question. I didn't really say anything about that. And then I guess, you know, I am struggling with the whole thing. It's like Chatham was told $5 million, these people were told $5 million, and it's a lot more money. So, you know, I think a lot of other people think somebody should be held accountable for this, because this was a private corporation, people would be getting fired. I think the whole necessity of redoing this building was, you know, usable space for programs. that we need. So to kind of cut corners on some of that, I think is wrong, you know, even if it's only 300 square feet. And then I noticed that there's a lot of, you know, office spaces, which I'm not sure why we're not necessarily using that for, you know, usable space. And then my one major objection to this is that when the kitchen was supposed to be expanded, you know, for some of the programs they're using, they're just putting another office there. So I would like to see the kitchen be expanded again, because that was in the original plan. And is there anything I'm missing? I think that's it. Thanks.
There's one column that's staying in the basement that was mentioned in the adult daycare room. There's one column that's staying.
Right. Well, I just didn't know if they were taking all the columns to make it usable space or not. I didn't know if that was.
Yeah.
All right.
There's no other columns in the basement, as I heard him. Yes, Ann Timpson, and then we'll get to you.
I'll be very quick, and I'm so supportive of so many things that have already been said, and that you don't need to hear them again. But having been the daughter of a relatively famous architect, with his office in the house, I'm pretty familiar with the whole process of building, getting bids. And I keep wondering, you know, an estimator really doesn't have any skin in the game. What happens if they're wrong? They don't get sued. They still get paid. I do believe that a contractor's bid is a more valuable appraisal of how much it's going to actually cost to build something. They do it all the time. They're not just using computers. They're out there. They're subcontracting. They know who they're working with. The other thing is, I gave chairman of the COA and one of the select board members the name of a contractor who was able to completely tear down a building in Orleans on 6A and build Chase Bank from scratch, do it in less than a year, stay within budget, and stay within the schedule. And all the people I talked to at Chase are thrilled with the results, and they're thrilled with the service they got during this. That took less than a year. So it's possible, but I think it has a lot to do with finding the right contractors. I mean, the other thing is if you send your RFPs out, most people may still have a job going on. If they're off Cape, they can't be working off Cape and on Cape. They're going to have to charge you more. So getting a contractor who is local, at least on Cape, is a big factor. Rushing to get all the bids in, to me, is not as important as getting the right people to bid. And I frankly think that it's much harder to achieve what we all have faced we're getting, which is a compromise. We're not getting 1610, and a lot of you wanted 1610. It's not going to get voted in again. We've tried, and that was not going to happen. So what we're doing now, I believe, could be called a compromise. And it's partly economics, it's partly keeping the same site, it's partly moving forward. But I think this is our last chance, frankly. And I respect Kurt because doing this tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, I mean, a contractor calls it a change order, and he charges a lot every time you tweak. And Kurt just keeps tweaking to make it happen. And I think that is quite an achievement, and it is not that easy to get a designer to do that. And it necessitates working very carefully with a lot of square footage. And I think we've found someone to work with, and we're very lucky to have him. But I won't say any more, except I do think that a contractor's bid is of all importance at this point, not waiting for the estimator.
Thank you, Ann.
Thanks.
I have a question for Rick, I guess, or the town staff. So when we put out an advertisement for bids, where is that posted? And are we allowed to send the advertisement to individual bidders that we might know about? Or are we limited? We're obviously governed by state procurement laws.
Yes, it's called Chapter 149, Procurement Regulations for vertical construction. And it would be great if we could solicit contractors and work with them individually, but that's not allowed by law. So the documents have to be put together, it has to be made public to anybody who is interested in bidding on the project that is qualified. We will have set qualifications and the specifications that spell those out, but we cannot negotiate or work individually with contractors to gain prices. It has to be an open, public forum.
And so where are these, is the advertisement, is it posted on the state website? Is that
Yes,
how contractors find out about it?
It's posted on the Central Register, which is a state document, as well as COMBIS, which is another state document that the contractors regularly monitor. We'll also, it'll be posted in the local newspaper and on the town hall website.
So that would be the Cape Cod Chronicle. How about the Cape Cod Times? Do we go into that as well?
I don't know if that's what we've done in the past, but certainly the contractors subscribe to the Central Register, and they would get it directly.
Okay.
And if anybody has any if anybody has any contractors that may be interested, we have contractors that work in the area that are qualified, and they're all aware of this project, Kurt and I both, and Terry. But if anybody has any contractors that you'd like us to contact, we can certainly do that to let them know it's coming. Each contractor has to be DCAM qualified as well, which is the Department of Capital Asset Management. If a contractor does not carry that qualification, they cannot bid on the project. So it's very heavily regulated.
Okay, thank you. Kurt, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
I was just going to mention the same thing about the DCAM requirements. The contractors have to be able to, they'll be pre-qualified by the state, which allows them to bid on projects of this magnitude. And I just wanted to also report that there are several local contractors that are aware of the project and are waiting for us to get on budget and get out to bid. They're anxious to be a part of it.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am, sorry. I know who you are, but I've forgotten your name.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
while I'm here, I just wanted to answer a couple of questions that came up. The basement is being renovated, and it's going to be utilized for the respite program. And one of the comments was, why so many offices, or why are the offices on the first floor? We did talk with operations and talked about the opportunity to make a common area for office desks, but for privacy reasons, there needs to be individual offices for any sensitive conversations. And the kitchen expansion is not being pulled out. It was never included in the original concept. So just to clarify those items.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
I'm Elizabeth Walker, and I've been a member of the Friends Board for this probably my 6th year. And as a member of the board, I have 2 particular tasks at the CFAL building. One is the library, it's a self-service library. And I work with a retired librarian who's volunteering, try to update everything we have. And it's on the 2nd floor. Also, I moderate the monthly book club. And among 4 of our regular members are people who are 90 plus. And so the image I want to leave you with is that to go to the library, many of our patrons use the elevator. To go to the book club, which meets on the 2nd floor since the Writers Cove Respite Care moved in, they use the elevator as well. The elevator is not heated, it's not insulated, it works at different speeds during the cold, and or at Town Hall is insulated. But I would just like to remind you that it's one more hardship for the clients who maybe have their sight impaired somewhere for socialization and intellectual activity. Thank you.
Thank you. The new building the renovated building will have a new elevator. Is that correct, Kurt?
I just wonder why I know of almost 6 years now that nobody's addressed that elevator that we have.
Excuse me. We were aware that the elevator needs to be updated. It is 30 years old, so it's coming to the end of its useful life. The elevator codes have changed, where there's an open vent at the top of the shaft which just lets cold air fall in, and that's what the code required at the time it was built. The energy code is also improved. So the elevator improvement project as a standalone project is something that we've always talked about pulling out and doing separately so that it's not added to the GC project, so that it doesn't have the burden of the 25% markups and insurances. So the intent was to do that as a standalone project, much like the HVAC project was done a year ago. As she mentioned, it was identified in an ADA study the town commissioned many years ago. And I think it's kind of just been waiting for the project to catch up with it. I will say that the estimate that we did and the estimate we're working on does not include that, but we do have a budget for it that we will add to the project. Another one of those things that we'll probably, we can add it to the total project cost, but we'd like to keep it out of this general construction contract just to save that markup.
But it would be a new elevator.
Sorry?
It would be a new elevator.
Yes, it'd be a new elevator in the existing shaft.
Okay.
The open vent in the building can be closed under current code, but it does require the new equipment.
Okay, thank you. Anyone, before you come a second time, anyone else who hasn't spoken for a first time who would like to speak? Anyone online? All right, Brian Phillips will give you a second shot.
Be quick. Brian Phillips. I repeatedly heard that the kitchen is being expanded. So maybe if you guys requested that little office, they expand it into there. And then the other thing I just forgot to say is that you're much better off using a gas stove over an electric as far as a kitchen like that, having extensive kitchen experience. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to bring it back to the board. What is the pleasure of the board? There's a staff memo with a recommendation. We've heard from members of the public. Anybody have any thoughts they want to? Stuart, and then Corey.
I think obviously we have, we have a communication problem here, in that little upsetting that the COA board and the Friends are not being kept apprised regularly. They are the customers, they're the end users, and we need to create a policy or whatever that will correct that problem. So the other thing I wanted to mention was the concept, and we're not going to do it, well, it's too bad we didn't do it at the beginning of this, but the town has long passed a building needs assessment committee. I mean, I think the building committee that Monomoy School District has created has been a huge benefit to that project, and the board should consider requiring that. So I think I've heard of a lot of things being deferred or unknowns, and having been a party to a lot of these projects, that schedule is completely unrealistic. It's never going to happen. So I think we just need to, I think we need to have a reality that, I'd rather see a really good project than something that is rushed and there's a lot of unanswered questions here. Thank you.
Corey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, I was just basically want to say is, I just want to make sure we move this project forward was kind of where we intended the final project to be. I don't want to whittle so much away that we're really spending money that we're going to regret 10, 15 years down the road. So I want to make sure if we're going to move forward with this, if the town's going to move forward with this, that we're covering as many of the angles that we had put forward in the discussions, that we have. And as far as the timetable goes, I think we all kind of, maybe not the right term, buy into the optimistic, like, oh, we can get this done. We just, sure, we can, we're not gonna have any hiccups. I think we've learned the hard way, for many years, things don't go so smooth. So to be expecting to hit these timetables without a flaw, let's not be foolish about it. There's gonna be some disruptions, there's gonna be hiccups, there's gonna be things that are gonna extend it, so we've gotta expect it to be longer than what is being presented to us. These timetables are unfortunately not realistic, based in reality, so, thank you.
Anyone else? Jeff?
Dean, are you looking for a decision on options that were presented to
Well,
us?
that's what we're
or
being
I thought that
asked.
was what we were being
That's what we're
asked.
being asked, because if we,
Yep.
as you and I know, because we were present, as I said, on the 20, if I get my date right, I want to get that clear. We were told on October 1st, 5 days ago, 6 days ago,
So,
that they needed to know whether they should continue with the design work, let the estimates come in at the end of the month, mesh them together and put the project out to bid. Of course, if the estimates continue to be dramatically high, I would expect that they would come back to us and for further guidance. But versus stop the design work, wait for the estimates to come in and lose another month. That was, and the staff is recommending option one. Get
so
it?
I
That's
go back
what
to my
heard.
question of Kurt, that these plans have been given to the estimator already. We're not continuing to design and redesign anything. So this is in the pipeline already with your estimator, right?
Are they still doing value engineering?
I don't know what to ask. And I guess the follow-up is, are you still doing value engineering as you progress here, has the estimator got a final set of design plans? I guess it's my question.
The estimator has like a 90% design set of the architectural plans, because we spent the last month trying to, right-size the project to meet the original goals in the original budget. My consulting engineers have completed 50% design drawings, which are also with the estimator. The structural drawings are at the 50% level. The civil engineer and I are working this week and next and through the next couple of weeks to finish the site design, because that just takes time. And if we were to, option two was to kind of put our pencils down and not do anything for the next 3 weeks. No. Option one is to kind of keep going, finish the documents, and then be ready to go to bid faster. But currently, we are not working on architectural edits. We're working on just getting our engineers, especially the site work, complete, so that we can go to bid.
So just a quick follow-up, if I might, Can
Can I just add that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Follow up. So that additional work you're doing now, is that going to be fed to the estimators?
That was my question.
Yes, yes. The estimator is working, but he's agreed that anytime we have some fresh drawings to send them. So we'll have revisions to the structural plans on the 10th, which will go either that afternoon, that's Friday, or on first thing Monday. Same thing as we get a better set of civil engineering plans at the end of next week. That'll go to the estimator and it'll be with them for the next 7 or 8 days before they've promised to give us their next best estimate.
And what date is that, Kurt, the next best estimate?
The next best estimate is due at the end of business on the 24th.
Of October.
Yeah, which we would then review with the working group and committee either that afternoon or the Monday morning following.
And then the timing difference between the two options, it's like everything's off a month. I agree with everybody that, you know, the schedule is very aggressive. The 8 months construction's aggressive, the construction starts aggressive. But, I mean, the difference between the two options that we've been asked to opine or make a decision upon, the difference is a month between the two. So, be honest with you, I want to get as accurate estimate as we can, and I want to get it out to bid as fast as we can, because the markets are so in such a turmoil. We want to know what this is going to cost. And before we need to know really what it's going to cost to decide whether or not it's a go, no-go with a special and what it's going to cost, so we can go back to the town if we need to. So the sooner as we can get estimates done, and as soon as we can get a bid that's accurate, the better, I think. We're more informed.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's why we're working to kind of get any other additional information to the estimator before the 17th, so you can have one more week with it. And then we'll immediately receive that, report it back to Rick and Terry and the working group that we have. And I'm sure we'll have a report that goes to Jill and is shared with you soon after.
Okay, thank you.
If you were to stop work right now, would the estimators be able to give you a final estimate because they don't have the 10% additional work that you need to do?
I think the estimate will be a lot more accurate. The only thing that they would be missing some of the site engineering drawings, especially the parking lots, in more detailed so that they can be more accurate. They've got a concept level plan that shows all the parking and the location of the septic improvements and generally the size of that leaching field. So that's all on paper already and in their hands, but the details and other things that come along with that in the next 2 weeks will be super helpful.
What do you gain, just to add on to what Jeff was inquiring, what do you gain in doing option 1 versus option 2, other than just 3 weeks' time?
One of the things that the estimators did at the last schematic level was that because most of them are former builders and they know what's in a complete set of drawings, they kind of read between the lines and they put some line items in for things that aren't even on the paper yet. And one of the biggest bucket is a design contingency. So they added a nice design contingency there of 10% in that budget, just for the details that aren't in the plans to date. There's a lot more for them to look at this time, including schedules of all the mechanical equipment. Each sprinkler head is on the plan. Each light is now on a plan. So instead of per square foot estimates on some trades, we're actually going to have hard numbers on trades. So there's a lot more detail they have this time that they didn't last. So we expect them to be a lot more accurate and a lot more sure of their number. And we would hope that they would agree to reduce their design contingency in their estimate to 5% or something. And then, Rick and his team have read many, many plans. They'll also look at it, analyze it, and advise as to whether it's accurate.
So Rick, you were going to respond, I think, to my question about what do you gain for this additional 3 weeks' time?
Yes. So this whole conversation has started, the end of September. And, right off the bat, we're talking at that time, do we stop? Do we just stop? We're 10 days or 7 days into it now, and it's a locomotive. The train keeps on moving. All of the engineers are engaged. If you stop them, they go to other projects. Do you get them back? So we were thinking about all those different concepts. What we gain by continuing to move forward and have the estimate on a parallel track is the estimate's going to give us a lot more information this time than it did last time, because there's a lot more information on the drawings. And it'll help us make informed decisions as to how to bid the project strategically. Do we look at alternates and what those values are? Do we look at carving things out and bidding them separate and what those values are? So having the documents complete and ready to bid and the estimate in hand just a couple weeks before the bids are done, then we can strategize as to how we're going to bid this. So it gives us just more information to work with and try to continue to cut the overall cost. What I just want to mention is there's been a number of discussions about cutting from the building. We haven't cut from program. There's been a lot of identified structural items that weren't available or weren't aware a year ago. So we've stayed away from program. So we've made it as efficient as possible. So what we gain from that is having an estimate in hand while the architect and the engineers are continuing to work. We don't have an interruption in our flow, and the estimate gives us more informed reasoning as to how we bid the project.
Okay, thank you. Did anyone else from the board have anything they wanted to say? Stuart.
If we chose option 1, and it comes within, the bid comes within the allotment of funding, is that coming back here?
I think we would have it come back to board for you to accept the bids. I'm just trying to think what we did with the fire station project. Terry, I don't know. Oh, you were there, of course.
The bid comes in. Our team analyzes the bid, analyzes the qualifications. We make a recommendation to the town manager and the select board for award, assuming that it's something that we're recommending.
And are we able to incorporate some of these concerns that people have in this plan? I'm still concerned. I feel like we're going to build another building, and we're going to lose another opportunity here for what we had hoped for at 1610, which was an alternate shelter location. This seems to be like an ideal, as long as it's able to do that. And at a minimum, the showers seem to be important. Seems to have everything else. I don't know about the generator capacity, but it seems like that would be something we don't want to lose. I am worried about the kitchen details, but that's, I don't want to get too far into the weeds.
Well, the showers and having this as a sheltering facility was really not part of the proposal that went to town meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where you'd put them. I'm not a designer, obviously, but
I think
we can certainly, even if we can certainly require that it come back to us when the bid comes in and the recommendation comes in.
Yeah, I'm concerned that we're going to get down the road here because, the chief procurement officer is the town manager. She could issue the bid without approval of the board, and I just didn't know what.
I think she's saying she would.
No, I can't do that. We need the board's approval for it.
How does, maybe I missed something. Why do you need the board's approval?
Because every contract, if you look at the waterfront infrastructure projects, we come to the board at every key decision point because the funds were appropriated, but we still need the authorization to spend.
Okay, that's not how I understand it, but so be it. We're all on the same page.
We can make the statement right now that we want this to come
I
back
think that would be helpful because I hate to keep going down.
There's an expectation on the part of this board that we want it to come back to us.
A rabbit's hole that, that maybe we want to go to the annual town meeting for more funding and because I think the schedule's
I want
not
to
gonna
say
happen.
something about this. No one was more aggressive in pushing this than me, and I don't regret that one damn bit. Because if I hadn't done anything last January, nothing would be happening. We'd still be wallowing in where we were going to put this project. I've been working at this for 8, 9, 10 years, and this is it for me. If this doesn't happen here, and it may not, because these bids may come in too high, and I said back in March when we put this on the warrant that if it came in too high, we would have to go to town meeting for the additional funds and let town meeting make the decision. But I'm at the point where if it comes in significantly higher, that's the end of the project. And people will have to continue in this building until the state steps in and says you can't run a senior center there. because the building isn't competent for it, and our seniors will have to go to Harwich or Brewster or Orleans or Dennis for services. That's where I'm at on this. So I don't.
I didn't mean to get you off.
No,
My only
I'm not
point-
upset with you, Stuart. I'm just responding to the suggestion that the Select Board has done something wrong. And that's not coming from you.
My only point was, on the brighter side,
Yeah.
if we do get bids and they're within a reasonable, amount of money, that maybe town meeting would look more positively toward a
I
bid.
should think so.
Yeah.
I should think so. If you've got a reasonable amount.
Yeah.
If this comes in approximate to $5 million, and we have some extras, whether it's an elevator or the parking or whatever, then I think we go to town meeting, whether it's in May or a special town meeting, whatever works in the program. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. Anyone else have anything they want to say?
The first step is we need to get a number. Please, let's get a number.
We had a number.
Well, let's get
Didn't
a,
work.
they're revising the number, and let's please get the revised number.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, a point of clarification, one of the speakers spoke about cutting back on the kitchen expansion. The original plan did not have an expansion for the kitchen. It had an expansion for the
Meals on Wheels office.
as an office for the kitchen staff in storage there. That still is in the plan.
Yes.
So there is no kitchen renovation, that was never planned, but the expansion was planned, was presented last year, and is still in the plan.
Okay. Mr. Dykens.
Yeah, Mr. Nacastro, I'd like to move option one, to accept option one. I think it's foolish to stop these guys in their tracks and lose time. And I think getting a bid in hand with as much alacrity as we can is the move to make. So I'd like to move option one. That's what we've been asked to do, and that's what I'd like to do.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Okay, I'll call the vote. Ms. Davis?
Aye.
Mr. Dykens?
Aye.
Mr. Metters?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, 5-0. Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone for your comments.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the discussion of the town council review of the legal letters on 127 Old Harbor Road and the vote. Can we have the conversation go outside, please? Thank you. It was anticipated that our town council be present this evening, but we were advised that he's been called into a meeting in another community where he is, I guess, serving as counsel. And he was available about a half hour, 40 minutes ago, but I did not want to interrupt the conversation and discussion on the prior business items. So I want to just ask the board what you'd like to do. My intention would be to, I'd like to have him present to answer questions and comment on the legal opinion that he gave in his review of the letters that came in from those two law firms. And he's not here to do that tonight. In addition, we received follow-up letters from those same law firms today, which fleshed out their legal theories, and he was provided those today, and I wanted to have a chance to ask him what he thinks of those letters. So I think the choice for us is, do we defer this entirely until next week? Or do you want to have some discussion about it, with the understanding we wouldn't take any particular votes tonight? Because I don't really think it's appropriate to take a vote tonight without having the benefit of council's opinion. And I know we have people in the audience, including the chair of the partnership, who requested this item at one point. Shireen.
I know that we have some of the board members that aren't going to be present for a couple of the meetings, and I think it's really important that they are here and that we have a full complemented board to vote on anything we
I agree with
we
you.
do. And I know that the next available time frame was into November to make that decision. I'm willing to wait for that to make sure that everybody's here. I want to hear I want to hear Jay's response to some of these things. So I'd be willing to wait until we had a full board to go over this, rather
The
than,
earliest that might be is November 4th, but it might not even be that. I think we're talking the 11th is the holiday.
and I won't be here on the 11th because I'm away.
So we're talking
Yeah.
So that would be the 18th, November 18th.
November 18th. I'm willing
I'm
to
just
wait.
wondering how, because it is Carolyn's agenda item, how she feels about that.
Carolyn, you're here. Did you want to speak? I know, I'm sorry. I know you came for this item.
Yeah, Carolyn McClellan, yes. So, I mean, if you guys aren't willing to vote tonight, then we'll have to come back another time anyways, and you want to have the full complement. So if you want to wait till the 18th when everybody's going to be here, I would be most insistent that everybody's here for that vote when you finally decide to do it. So I guess
I fully agree
that's my
with.
best offer. I guess I'll
I
take it.
fully agree with that. Corey?
I mean, I'm willing to push it off that much. I don't know if there's any like general conversations we want to have as a board to throw anything out there in preparation for a meeting such, several weeks down the road, or we're fine. I mean, I don't want to be
I'm
accused of.
happy to entertain whatever discussion or conversation the board wants to have tonight about it. Stuart?
Well, it seems to me, I mean, I just got the attorney letters from the neighbors, which I thought were well done, and I was hoping to hear Jay's kind of
Yeah.
comments on those, so I can go either way. You can have a general discussion and then take no vote until November, or whatever everybody's comfortable with.
Any other observation on what you'd like to do?
I just like to defer
Defer
the
the
agenda,
whole thing
yeah, the
entirely.
whole thing.
Yeah. I would suggest that if, we all just got these letters today, and by the way, we have to agree to release them, and I propose they be released and posted to whatever, the town manager's website, whatever, so that the
Sure,
public can
Kathy
see
can
them.
do that, yep.
Because we got something that I wanted to see, which was what their theories were.
Yeah, and I would second, if that's a motion, I would second.
Yeah, well, under our pre-existing policy, it's the town manager and the chair can release a public
okay.
opinion.
Fair enough.
So, release legal, well, these are not our council's opinions, but we'll post them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will defer this, and I would suggest that if anybody has any, particular questions for town council, they could email Mr. Tallerman, and I guess keep the town manager apprised with a CC on that, so he'll be prepared to respond directly.
Okay, that's fine. I just would like to register my general dismay at the fact that we're revisiting the attorney's decision on this, and every time we make a decision on 127, if some lawyer throws a letter to us, are we going to stop and analyze everything? I mean, at some point, you have to decide, and it has to be over. And we've already got town council on this. The preliminary statement that Tallerman has given also supports that. So I resent the delay caused by this. I understand we want to come back to the 18th, but I just want to register that I find that to be really annoying, would probably be the most polite thing I could say about it.
Okay, duly noted. If anyone wants to speak, I'll let them speak, and we're not going to have any discussion up here, but let you speak, sure.
I would ask that it be postponed. Is this on? Maybe not.
No.
You can hear me. I would ask that it be postponed till the 18th. There are a lot of legal issues that are facing us, and very little has been in the packet for the public. And again, these two or three more opinions have come out, and we haven't seen them.
We just
So
got
I
them
think
today,
that-
Wayne.
Huh?
We just got them today.
Oh, I know, that's what I'm saying. It's like, hurry up. We've got to be able to have an opportunity to review them and then have a meeting where our own town council should be here.
Yeah.
That disturbs me that he found something more pressing than this. This is pretty pressing. He should have been here. And I think the fact he's not is good reason to postpone it till they can.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Is this November 18th?
November 18th.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Judy. Anybody else? Nobody online? Okay. All right. That item is dispatched for tonight. We'll defer this until November 18th. The last item on the agenda is something that is pressing, and this has to do with what Stuart announced earlier, the vacancy in the Chatham delegate position to the Barnstable County Assembly of Delegates. Unfortunately, the charter for Barnstable County requires that it be filled within 21 days of the notification we got from the county, from the assembly clerk, which was dated October the 2nd. That brings us to what, October 23rd? And we are required under their charter, and we would do it anyway, to interview candidates and then and send within that 21-day period a certification of the person that we voted in. That's not a whole lot of time, and if we don't, if they don't get that certification within 30 days, that's another 9 days for them, they can fill the position by identifying someone in town. This position runs to
The end of the.
end of 26. It's an elected position. The person who wants to stay in, who is appointed, we get make the appointment, will have to run for reelection if they want to stay. I think it's a 2-year term, 3-year term. It's a nonpartisan election, but it's held during the general state elections. And all you have to do is be for eligibility is be a resident of the town for what, a year? I've forgotten what it says. I guess I can read it.
So basically, time-wise, Dean, we have next week
Yes.
to interview people. So that would mean that if you're interested, you need to get your application in by Friday.
Well, we could interview and vote at the same session.
Sounds like a plan, yeah.
So I was thinking, and if we wanted to accommodate times, schedules of folks on the board, we could have a morning meeting at like 8 o'clock or 8:30. I think everybody could make a meeting like that, even those of us who work. Interview people. I don't know how many people are going to apply. I don't know if anybody's going to apply.
Might be a short interview.
And then proceed to a vote. I was just trying to find the qualifications, yeah. Excuse me.
One year.
Any voter or resident of Barnstable County for at least a year.
Where are you seeing that?
The filling of vacancies.
Oh, yeah, any voter has to be a resident of Barnstable County for at least 1 year. That's it. So what would you like to do? Stuart?
I would suggest we advertise, interview, and let's get this
Should we
done.
put a deadline for the applications to come in? We usually do.
Sounds like.
Friday's pretty quick.
Friday's it.
And when would you like to have this meeting?
Well, how about Monday, and then if we interview, we can interview before the select board meeting.
Tuesday, there's a holiday on Monday.
Yeah, next,
Well,
next
I meant Tuesday.
Yeah.
I meant Tuesday.
Tuesday would be the cutoff.
Do we have to notify them or take action by it?
We interview
Have to-
folks, and then we would
What
vote.
we have to do is elect someone, vote to
Reappoint.
appoint someone and submit the certification of appointment letter to the county by October 23rd.
Okay.
We could do it on October 23rd and have someone email, I guess, certification.
Can't we just get it done on Tuesday?
Well, I mean,
No.
I mean, we need to get it out there and get people.
We need
We need a candidate,
We need
too.
to-
Candidates.
And it's not like it's, I mean, I'm going to reach out to people, I think maybe.
Yeah, I would
interested,
encourage
you
board
know.
members and anybody.
Every one of us should.
But, you know, we could, I'm trying to get the calendar up here. So we've got just under 2.5 weeks. Monday's the 13th, that's Columbus Day. Tuesday's the 14th. We could require, as Jeff suggested, Tuesday as the deadline to submit. We'll post it tomorrow, Kathy, right?
And I want to remind this board, too, that board members can be assembly delegates as well. No, I am not.
We all
but-
need the additional headache, right?
But I'm just saying that in case folks didn't realize that they might
I
be
know.
interested.
So why don't we do that? The 14th is the deadline for applications. When they come in, we'll schedule an interview and does the board open to it doesn't have to be in the morning as far as I'm concerned.
Well, right before, I mean, depends on how many applicants we get.
Yeah. Okay, well, we'll know Tuesday. By, let's say noontime
Noontime
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So when we have the meeting on the 14th, we'll know, and then we can decide when we want to interview and vote. Okay. I think that's all we need to do. So with that done, I'll accept a final motion for the night.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. Davis.
Aye.
Mr. Dykens.
Aye.
Mr. Metters.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
And the chair says aye. Good night, everyone.